shimmery and shiny and bright and fun and creamy and smooth. They're like wet, beautiful, dewy, like lit from within. They just make your life easy. Squirts in 4 different directions. That can't be right. I'm just not a fan of it. Hey guys, welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be doing November favorites and flops. Okay, so the first thing that I absolutely love and that I actually forgot to include in my October favorites. So I tried this in October. It's the NARS Soft Matte Foundation. I've gave it a really in-depth review. I tested it multiple times for full day wear tests, got a really good idea of it, and then I've continued to test it. I love it on its own. It is a perfect soft matte foundation. It is not too dry for my dry to normal or combination skin types. I'm combination, and I actually do have a lot of dehydration despite the fact that I do get oily in my T-zone from time to time. And this is a beautiful matte foundation for those people that maybe find matte foundations too drying. Now, if you have extremely dry skin, I can't really, attest to whether this would be too dry for you, but for combination or dehydrated skin type, I haven't worn it yet and felt like it's dry. It's very, very full coverage. And it's buildable. The finish, as I mentioned, is really incredible. It's so smooth. It lasts a long time. Like, I think I've worn it for 10 hours. It is really, really good. I really enjoy it. And another thing that I've been really enjoying with this foundation is actually adding it into like a more kind of light to medium coverage foundation that has a more natural or dewy finish. So one of my favorite natural foundations is the Revlon Candid. It has about medium coverage. But you can't really get it too much more than medium, and that's fine. Like, I like this on a natural day or if my skin isn't broken out. I really love this foundation, but when I do want more full coverage, it's nice to be able to add a more full coverage foundation to this. It's one of my favorite foundations to do that with, and these two go beautifully together. So that's what I'm wearing today. So it's a mixture of these 2/3 this, 1/3 this. It's like a little less than full coverage. Like, today isn't as full coverage as this foundation can go even, so you can like build it to even more full coverage. So I've been really enjoying doing that. It can bring a lighter coverage foundation more coverage, and then the natural finish of this kind of brings a little more life to this foundation. So it's a really good mix. Really, really beautiful foundation here, and I definitely recommend. You get quite a bit of product. You get 1.5 fluid ounces, so that's like more than the average foundation. So I do think it's worth the money. Another foundation that I've tested recently that I have been loving is the Huda Beauty Stick Foundation. Number one is fragrance free. So if any of you have used Huda Beauty's products before, her powder, her old like liquid foundation, and her first setting spray all had this very, very strong perfumey fragrance. And like I've mentioned when I reviewed this, the powder doesn't bother me. The foundation does, because it does sometimes break me out. And so this, I was really excited to see was fragrance free. I think they definitely answered a lot of requests from customers. Like, I think as consumers, we were kind of asking Huda Beauty to come out with a fragrance free foundation, and they answered. The really cool thing about this one is it is very buildable. So first layer, you're gonna get light coverage, very light, like tinted moisturizer feel. I really like that it has a very varied span of coverage, so it is very buildable. It does not get cakey. So I added when I initially tested this, I added about 3 layers. The way it sat on the skin looked just as natural as the first layer. Now, obviously, I got a lot more coverage, and this is one that you probably aren't going to get to full coverage. That's the one thing I will warn you, is if you're looking for like full coverage, like NARS Soft Matte, like even the original Huda Beauty Faux Filter foundation, you're not going to really get that. Now, I have done 4 layers with this and got it to a little bit more than medium coverage, but I haven't really gotten it to like that full like, you look like a new human being, let me remove my face and put on a new one type full coverage. Like, this is a bit more of a natural foundation, but you can get it to a good medium and a little bit more than medium coverage. So I think with concealer, your face will look pretty much full coverage. It is not the most transfer proof foundation. When I wore a mask, it did kind of rub off on my nose a little bit. So That is the one con, but I have worn this and then worn a mask and it didn't rub off. I think I wore the disposable ones, which I find that they are a little bit like rougher on the skin. So my reusable ones, I haven't noticed that it rubbed off. So that's maybe what happened, was because it was such like a harsh material that it kind of rubbed a little bit more. But yeah, not the most transfer proof, but everything else about this foundation is incredible. Coverage is really cool that you can get it really light to a good like medium plus. It's very buildable, it looks very natural, it does not get cakey, it lasts a really good time. Like by the end of the day, probably 8 to 10 hours I've tested it. The typical like wearing on the chin, a little bit on the nose, was just about as worn as it got, like no more than the average foundation on me. So that was normal, and so I think it wore really well as well. It feels comfortable, it feels like you're barely wearing anything on your face. Really incredible. I think it's worth the price. This as well, you get quite a bit of product, which is 12.5 grams. I mentioned in the review of this product that the Hourglass stick foundation, which is a pretty popular one that I even personally enjoy, had 7 point something grams. So it's almost double the amount of product as that. So that's really cool. Like these two that I'm recommending have a really decent amount of product. So I think they're high-end price tag, you know, it's worth the money. Moving on, we have some eyeshadow palettes. I actually loved this Naughty eyeshadow palette from Huda Beauty. This one here is just so incredible. I'm wearing it today. To me, this is a bit of an everyday look. Like I like to wear makeup like this for an everyday. But if you're looking for like everyday where it's like super natural, there's quite a few mattes in here, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then even this one here, the marbled matte, which I have tested and I am using today. Incredible, just very smooth. And I mean, it really, when you mix it together, it does really just come together as like a medium brown, but you can kind of see how you move your hand and it almost has like the lighter brown within it, so it actually almost helps it blend out even more seamlessly. And it's just such a creamy shade, like it's virtually powderless. Really nice. All of the mattes are very airbrushed, but all of those ones I pointed to are very light. Like even this one, if you're into a warm look, this one is still light enough that I think you can use those matte shades for an everyday look, and it can be so soft and subtle. Then there's those really deep, rich mattes. So incredible. Everything blends together stunningly, and I really just love this palette. Metallics are really nice. Like I'm wearing Passion today. Like look at that. I'm wearing that on my lid today. It's so incredible. They're very like shimmery and shiny and bright and fun and creamy and smooth. They're really nice. They can get a little chunky because they're so almost so creamy you can pick up a lot at once on your finger. Just be mindful of that. Like I would just kind of like tap, not like swirl, if you know what I mean, because then you'll get like a smaller amount and it will be a little bit less chunky and a little bit more smooth. So that's my one recommendation. Then these like marbled mattes marbled metallics are really cool as well. They do kind of come off as like a duochrome because of the two shades within the shade. So they're really cool. If you want to see swatches of this palette up close, I will link my review. I also in that video reviewed this, so if you want to see more in-depth stuff and see me use it, I will link that below. But really just impressed with this palette. The only thing I will say about this palette is this guy right here. I'm sorry. Now that I've gotten the pearls like kind of crushed up, you definitely get more pigmentation. So you can see this here. If you go and watch the video, I barely had any pigmentation with my initial swatch. So now that I've really kind of played with this, it's just like kind of oily. And so it actually is kind of patchy. Like once you blend it out, it really just looks kind of patchy. I'm just not a fan of it. I think the idea is cool. I have yet to use it on its own because I'm just not very interested in it. I'll be completely honest with you. The times that I've used it, I haven't really liked it. It's too dark to use on my brow bone. It's too dark to use on my face. Maybe if you were darker skin toned, this would be cool for a face highlight because they do recommend that. But like that's gonna be way too dark for my cheekbone, for my brow bone. Like it's not for me. And I personally think this palette would have been even more cool if they included another metallic, or especially maybe even another matte marbled shade, because we only got one of those, or maybe another marbled cream metallic. So that's my only wish with this palette, my only disappointment. But that being said, like every single other shade in this palette I'm impressed with. We can ignore this guy down here and I will still say this palette was a success and definitely a recommend. Another palette that I was really impressed with. When I look at this palette, it's not the type of palette that I would be like, oh, that's gotta be in my monthly favorites. But I was just really impressed because this was the first time I ever used this brand's formula for eyeshadow. So this is why I have to do a shout out to this palette. So this is the Breakfast in Bed by Beauty Bakery. I've only ever used Beauty Bakery's blush lighter formula. I'm really intrigued by that brand, and after using this palette, it's a brand I'm definitely going to check out further and test more of their stuff. I'm really impressed with the formula. Like color scheme wise, no, it's not the most exciting, but I think that it is a very everyday palette. Like the metallics are so like smooth and really, really pretty. Like the formula is what really impressed me with this palette. Yeah, color scheme maybe wouldn't be, you know, the first one for me to be in awe of, but that's kind of nice because it is one that I do gravitate towards for an everyday, which is really nice. And then the mattes blended out like a dream. Like they just were very, very like that airbrush blended, very soft, were easy to use, and I was able to create some nice looks with this palette. So it is one I recommend, and it is a brand that I recommend. So I have a couple more eyeshadow palettes, and these are drugstore. So the first one is the Morphe holiday palette, the 35XO. This palette is really, 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 really beautiful. I personally love the color scheme of this. I love those rich berry tones, the pinks. And I really like that there's quite a bit of brown, especially on this end, because browns are something that I use for everyday, quick, just simple looks. These are just so beautiful quality. Morphe's eyeshadow is really, really, really great, and it's definitely a brand I've recommended for a long time and used for a long time. So I just really liked the color scheme of this one, and it is one I recommend for sure. And then the other one that I wanted to include was the Colourpop Stone Cold Fox. I did a pretty in-depth review where I talked you through a really, really simple everyday look. Talked about color scheme. I compared it to the Bare Necessities palette by Colourpop, and I did swatches. I'll link all these videos I'm mentioning below. This one is just one of the most incredible everyday palettes. If you like cool toned palettes, this is going to be one of the first everyday palettes I would recommend. For those that just do your makeup every day for work and you don't have time to like do a cut crease or do some fancy smoky eye or like play with like really super interesting triochromes and metallics. This is going to be a really great everyday palette, and it's also a great one for my makeup artists. This is a palette that, now I'm not really doing makeup right now but I am a makeup artist and an esthetician, and I do weddings. You know, I've done a lot of weddings in the past. This is one that I'm 100% going to be using in the future for that, because it just has, and I probably would bring my Bare Necessities because it does depend on warm and cool. But for a cool tone, this is just one of the most incredible everyday. It has great, great, great transition shades, crease shades. You can really contour the eye with these shades. They have different levels of, you know, depth and degrees of darkness within these certain like browns and mauves and kind of those types of shades. And then really just beautiful metallics. From pretty bright to really soft. I just really thought the color scheme of this was not only beautiful, but just very useful and very like realistic of what people are going to use on an everyday. So this is a definite recommend. Faux show. So moving on, we're almost done, guys, I promise. Another fave is the Catrice Triangle Artist Contour Stick. This isn't new, but it is new to me, and it is a favorite. It became a favorite very quickly. I'm really into cream contour. As you can see, it is very well loved. It is really, really, really creamy. It is a really great color. It is a warmer shade, but it's not too warm. Like, I contoured my forehead, my cheekbones, my nose, my jawline. You can kind of sheer it out and only use a little bit, and it can be more natural, or you can really just pack it on and have a super, super contoured face. It's very buildable and just user-friendly. I personally like to either apply it onto my brush or my sponge and then directly apply it with that on my face. Really, really like this, and this is a great drugstore recommendation for cream contour. So, one of my favorite lipsticks right now, and that I'm wearing today, is my Makeup Forever Rouge Artist lipstick. This is a new formula that they've come out with, and I'm really, really obsessed with it. I got it in 2 shades, but my favorite is Inspiring Petal. It's a bit of a warmer pink, but it's not too bad. I have it in the center, and I've lined my lips with the Gerard Cosmetics Share lip liner. Love Gerard Cosmetics lip liners as well, but this is just such an incredible lipstick. It is very unique. You kind of get like this really easy way to apply because you get the extended applicator. It's supposed to replicate a like an actual lip brush, and it really does. I really, really like these guys. I did want to point out there is a fragrance to it, but really, really just great lipstick, good quality, has a beautiful finish, really great range of colors, and I'm just obsessed. This is my favorite lip right now, lip combo. This with that Gerard Cosmetics lip liner, I'm obsessed. It's my fave. If you guys have watched my channel before, you will know I'm obsessed with the Rare Beauty liquid blushes, but I had only tried the matte formula, and I have now tried the dewy formula. I reviewed this recently on one of my newer videos, and the dewy formula is really, 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 really incredible as well. If you do have dry skin, you may like the dewy formula better. It is a little bit more like, well, dewy. It's not really dewy though, like it's not overly dewy, and you can set it and then it can be a lot less like shiny. So it's really, really just beautiful formula. It sinks into the skin, blends into the skin seamlessly. It doesn't dry down too fast. They're very, very, very pigmented. They last a long time. And I just wanted to kind of give a shout out to this because I did definitely enjoy the dewy formula as well. I actually mixed this one, which is in Happy, in the dewy formula, and I did mix it with, where are you? The original one that I tried, which is the matte formula in Bliss. I actually mixed these two together on my hand and then used a beauty blender to blend it into the cheeks. Really, really incredible. Like, look at how seamless that looks. It doesn't have any powdery like finish. Really, really pretty. I'm obsessed with these. These are like my all-time favorite blushes right now. So good. Another favorite is from MAC, Flashing Ice Extra Dimension Skin Finish Trio. I really, really like this palette. I'm wearing it today. I actually mixed all three. It just creates a beautiful, beautiful highlight. You can use, there's like a white, a gold, and a rose gold. They're all very stunning and user-friendly, great for fair to medium skin tones. Dark skin tones would probably be able to pull this off if you like a really bright highlight, but I think they have a darker one as well. If you have a dark skin tone, you maybe would want to check that one out. But this one for lighter to probably medium skin tone would be great, and one that I recommend. I actually am so obsessed. The formula is like creamy, like zero powderiness to it. It doesn't have any like thick chunky glitter. They're like wet, beautiful, dewy, like lit from within, beaming highlights. So incredible. Formula's great, and I love the color selection in this palette. And then my last fave of the month are the Morphe Shine lip crayons. So the reason that these are included in today's video is because I find them very, very like user-friendly and everyday. They just make your life easy. So what basically they are is a lip crayon. So number one, you can line your lips and fill them in at the same time. Love lip crayons for that reason. But it also has a shiny finish to it. So it's not like gloss, but it has enough shine where you could get away, like if you like a glossy finish, I think it would still be enough shine. It's almost like a 3-in-1. So you can line your lips, fill them in, and you like have a glossy finish. So it looks like you have lip liner, lipstick, and lip gloss on at once. They're really, really, really beautiful. Like, do you see how it just like made center look more shiny? Like, so nice. They're really, really nice. They don't last the longest, but because they are like the shinier finish, they're a little bit more slippy. And so they don't last forever, but they're really, really easy. They'd be easy to put in your purse, kind of touch up with. They're beautiful. I really, really, really like these. And they're definitely something that I think you guys would enjoy as well if you like things that just make your life a little bit more simple. Before we get on to flops, I have one product, and I'm not including this in the flops because I absolutely love it and think it's so great, but it's just one thing I kind of want to warn you guys about because I don't want you guys to go and spend this much money if it's not something that you're going to like. So I just kind of, you know, if you're here and you're listening and you're thinking about buying this product, I just want to let you guys know. This is the Natasha Denona Triochrome. I absolutely love this palette. I think it's so unique, but it's a lot of money. And for me to sit here and say, guys, it's totally worth $170, 100%. I don't really think I can do that. I personally think quality-wise, over and over and over again, I would pick Natasha Denona. It's so incredible. I would save up the money to buy that palette because I think that her quality is worth it. But this color scheme is absolutely not going to be for everybody. It is bright, it is funky. There are some everyday looks you can come up with, like these softer purples. There's those lighter, like peachier tones in this row. This row is like the most everyday out of the whole palette. So I think that you have to be the type of person that wants to play with a lot of different color, you know, schemes and variety of color to really like this palette. If you like to play, this is your palette all the way. And these triochromes, like we gotta give them a moment because they are just very unique, very incredible. But the other thing I wanna warn you guys is you are paying $129, or if you're Canadian like me, $170 for an advertised triochrome palette, and you're only getting 3 triochromes. That was really disappointing to me. And ultimately, like, do I regret purchasing this palette? Not really, because it's super fantastic quality wise, and it sets me up for some really incredible fun looks. But I think the fact that you are getting an advertised, marketed, and supposed to be inspired by these incredible triochromes, and you get 3 out of 15 shadows or triochromes, like that was disappointing to me. If you aren't sure, I would maybe just pick up one of her liquid shadows, because then you can just get that triochrome effect without spending $170. So that's the one, like, I like this palette, yes, I think it's incredible. I would not consider it a flop, but there were enough components of the palette that I wanted to kind of like warn you, hey guys, press on the brakes here for a minute and really think about this palette. Let's talk about the fail of the month, the flop of the month. And this baby is a flop solely from the packaging. So that is the Huda Beauty setting spray. Now I know the initial Huda Beauty setting spray was a flop for the scent, and now it's a flop for the mister. Now, is it just mine? Who knows? If you guys love your mister, then let me know, but I hate mine. I'm gonna just try to show you. Do you see that? It comes out in like, that can't be right. I don't know if mine's just broken. I don't know, but I haven't like dropped it or anything. But it comes out like squirts in 4 different directions. So it'd be different if like, cause I think the Hourglass one squirts in a circle, but it's so fine that in like almost like aerosol that it works. And this one, I don't know how many times it's like shot me in the eye or like shot me in one place, and then it's like a ton of setting spray. I can feel like a squirt, like a, not like a normal like mist. Oh, it's like making my face feel wet. Like it's like, feels like I'm getting squirted in one place more than anywhere else. So it doesn't spray evenly. Like I like the formula of it, but the mister is so bad that I just don't want to use it. If you guys have one and the mister is great for you and you don't ever notice that, then comment below. Curious to know if it's just maybe mine, like is mine broken? Is mine a defective product? Who knows? But yeah, that's my experience with this product and I'm not happy about it. That's everything. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed, give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, ring the bell, and have a wonderful day, guys. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.